Okay, so I believe we are on. We are recording. So, hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I am here with the lovely Angela Courtney today, and I am so excited, so excited to do this interview with her today. And we're talking about intuitive eating and the journey that she's been on and that everything she's gone through. So, she's going to answer a few questions for us today. But first of all, before we dive into the questions, I want to explain a little bit about what intuitive eating is. And, it's this mind body, just self care eating framework, basically, where you're listening to all of the internal cues that are coming into us that we were just innately born with, as far as when it's time to eat and when it's time to, stop eating so that we're not overeating and just feeding our bodies in a way that feels really good, both mentally and physically. And Angela is going to talk to us more about exactly that, how she's gone through that process. And thank you so much for being here with us today. So, Angela, first of all, I want to ask you, what made you decide to book in with me?
I was on my Facebook, just going through my news feed, and a friend of mine sent one of your live Facebook videos in the morning, and I liked them. And I had recently, since the COVID thing, gained 20 pounds in like 4 months or something like that, crazy. And I was curious about it, and I knew that I had to do something. So I messengered you, and you and I had a consultation, and that's where I went from there. I decided to do it because I had been going through a lot during this COVID time. My mother became very ill. She came down with dementia, and you know, 10 days before they locked down America. And, so she was psychotic for like a month, and I was not getting very much help. It took me a month to get my mother psychiatric help on top of the physical situation that she was having. It turned out that she had needed a surgery, and she had gotten a urinary tract infection that made her lose her mind, or accelerated, early dementia. So now my mother is 24-hour care, and I'm trying to work full time and do that on top of, trying not to feel bad that my weight has gotten really heavy. I guess I'm considered 40 pounds overweight, and that did not feel good to me. Okay, I'm 40 pounds, more, just gained 20 in 4 months. And you helped me figure out what was happening with me, why the weight was coming on so fast, which is that I wasn't sleeping at night, and that I was, going to bed at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and binging in between, putting my mother and father to bed, which was like 10:30 at night, and then having that 2 hours to decompress and feel anxious about all the stuff that is happening to me in my life situation. In my life situation, I don't have the time for an eating disorder. And I knew that, and I knew that I needed to take care of myself mentally. And one of the things that was scaring me about taking care of my mother was that, my mother overextended herself her whole life. And I think she really struggled with mental health issues. I think she struggled with anxiety and depression. And I was at that caregiver, I was at that caregiver burnout, where my mental health is really a risk. And I connected the thought that if my mom could lose her mind from just not taking care of herself, not taking care of her mental mind, and my mother struggling with her weight and all those things, I did not want to be that person that loses my sanity. And that was something that was really scaring me. And when we talked, you and I obviously spent a lot of time working on these issues for me. And I'm really, really glad that I did it. You were an investment. You weren't, like, I was desperate. And I knew that I had to do something that was not a quick fix, that was not just an easy diet plan.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I needed more. And so when we talked, that was helpful. And I had been watching your videos maybe, I don't know, three, four times. And, this friend of mine who had done this, I'm not going to say her name or what have you, because I don't know how private she is, but I had been seeing pictures of her just looking so great on Facebook, and just, what is she doing? She looks great. And then she shared your video, and I was like, this is it. I'm gonna do it. So here I am. Any other
Absolutely.
questions?
That was it in a nutshell for you, basically. But yeah, when you say, I like to point out when you say that, I was an investment. You invested not in me, but you invested in yourself, and that's a part of self-care. And that's putting yourself first. And that's one of the things that we have to do, is put ourselves first so that we can start that healing process. And that's what you're doing. So how had you tried to actually fix all of these things, like the binging and the overeating and the emotions and all of these things? How had you tried to fix them in the past? And why do you think that it didn't work?
Well, I think it didn't work because I had some idea in my head that because I wanted something junky or whatever, that it was some sort of bad taboo thing or what have you. So it was like, well, this is bad, and I'm going to start again tomorrow. So I'm just going to let myself have it. So I'd eat it like it was like the last time I was ever going to eat it.
Yes.
And then tomorrow came, and I'm like, all right, just this last time. And it's just like that cycle that goes and goes and goes. And then I go from that to, okay, I've got a plan, the discipline's in, and I keep working at that. And I've had some, and I lose the weight, and it could be a 3, 4, 6 month period or whatever. It just feels like I've been yo-yoing between the same 20 pounds for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, and I usually start dieting when I hit that 20 more mark. But I went from the 20 more mark to the 40 more mark in 4 months. So I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But if I thought about why I started dieting or whatever, I had worked for a cosmetics company. I had worked for Estee Lauder, and like I had gained, I was in my late 20s, and I had, gained maybe 10 pounds or what have you. And I was just like, I better stop. I need to do something because I have to be perfect for my job. And so, I went on a diet that was like no sugar, no flour, no wheat, low carbohydrate, low
Strict.
sugar, like, and just like a counting of, a box of, okay, well, I ate this, this, and this, and this, and this, and I really can't have that. And I did that for at least 2 years, and I was exercising every day, crazy, running 6 miles a day. That's nuts. And
Yes.
um, so I was like super fit and what have you. And then I fell on my knees. And that exercise that I was doing, that my body was so used to, I ended up gaining, that 20 pounds very quickly because I wasn't running every day and I wasn't exercising every day. And, and then you just go from that to, I feel weight. And through intuitive eating, I have realized that that mental head game and weight gain circle is the problem.
Absolutely. And I'm so
It's
glad that you were
the
able to.
problem,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, and like I mean, I was just telling you earlier that I'm just like, okay, well, I've been with you, what, 13 weeks now? And
At least.
yeah, this is like our 13th week. And in 12 and a half, 13 weeks, I lost 20 pounds. Right. So now I'm like, okay, I'm at that 20 mark, but I want to lose more weight. And now what do I need to do? And all that crazy noise. And, you know, we had reviewed some questions or whatever. And I was thinking about that. And I'm like, oh my God, even though I've been doing this 13 weeks, I still have that mentality, especially when I feel stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my insight on that.
Yes, yes. The diet mentality is hard to get rid of. And I feel like that's because it's been with us for so long, right down to childhood. So that's a really long time for it to be, have those voices just going around and round in our head. So to just, in a couple of weeks feel like we can just banish them away, it does take time, but it is possible. I mean, look at where you've started and where you're at now. So, what do you feel that you've done that's helped you to actually get rid of some of that diet mentality?
I learned that the intuition, when you talk about in the intuitive part, is that my body has intelligence, or, you know, intuition, like the description of intuition is, you know, what it feels like and what have you, right?
Absolutely.
But that not only is that feeling and intuition, it is the smarter way because your body knows what it needs. And so the conjunction of intuition and intelligence is why I talk to you, because yes, my body has feelings and cravings and what have you, but my mind and personality and this diet mentality that we have discussed needs direction. And that's why you have been important for me, because my body says something, but I didn't know how to hear it. And my crazy eating disorder, mental mind focus would not listen. And so what we've done in this last 3 months has I've learned how to deprogram that thinking, to move it aside so that I can learn my own hunger rhythms and I can learn how connected my body is to things that are outside of food, that aren't necessarily about me listening to my body about when it's hungry. It's an integral thing where I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. There are other emotions that are not food related that I think are food related. I'm not really hungry at the time, and being able to decipher whether I'm actually even hungry or just feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. And I am living a very stressful situation right now, I must say. And I don't have the time to have a mental breakdown or eating disorder anymore. So this has been very helpful for me. And so if there is anybody that's out there that's listening, one of the great things about this is it's about right now doing it in your life. And it's easy. It's easy when you listen to your own body. And you don't have, like, I don't have the points and whatever. You know what I do? I basically have a little cooler that has food with me all the time because I have a very busy life. I'm driving 2 hours a day, going between 3 different places, my house, work, my parents' house, where I have to live 24 hours a day. And so I just have a safety pack of food for when I'm hungry so that I never get over hungry. And if I want something like Burger King, I'm going to eat it or whatever. And but because that's what I'm craving. I'm craving a hamburger or whatever. Why am I craving a hamburger? I have no idea, but I'm just gonna have it, and it's not gonna have that it's just not gonna have that power.
I love it.
I
I
don't have
absolutely love
time
it.
for it to have the power. I just
Exactly.
don't.
You have the power. You are in charge.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. I love it. And I love your safety pack. I think that is my absolute favorite.
My safety box has water. I have some orange cinnamon tea that I love. I absolutely love that, like, okay, I'm really not hungry. I just need to center. I need a sensory thing. And so I like to drink tea because it's so sensory. There's heat with it. It goes down my throat nice. It tastes nice. It smells nice.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there
I
you have
love
it.
it. All my favorite things too. And I love hearing that you're able to actually experience that and be aware of all the senses that come with it. And I love how you explain intuitive eating as this sensory process, because it really is, about slowing down and just being aware and really and taking time to enjoy, because we move so fast through our lives that, if you could just slow down for a moment when you're eating and be grateful and thankful for the food in front of you that's about to nourish your body, and just take all of the senses in, there's a time or a moment for you several times throughout the day, because we have to eat several times, and there's that chance for you to actually slow down for a minute. It's a great opportunity. And so I'm curious, with like like how you said, like, if you're craving Burger King, you'll have it. And I love that. So how did you feel about giving yourself that full permission to eat when I first said, yeah, go ahead and have it? This isn't like a diet where you can only eat salad all the time or fruits and vegetables and that's it. Like, how did you feel when I said, yeah, okay, go ahead, give yourself that full permission, have whatever you want?
It was bizarrely easy to just have a hamburger with some onion rings and call it a day. And not be like, okay, I really want the brownies or whatever. I didn't. And I think that was surprising to me, that I would eat, something that is perceived, going to give me obesity or whatever, that it's over fatty or whatever. But I guess at the end of the day, what I felt like was, okay, this is you learning how to trust your body, what it needs, what it wants. And I went from there. And, like, I know that there are healthy things that I need to get in my body every day or whatever. And I usually have them in my cooler so that I have healthy food at hand. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a Kit Kat somewhere, you know?
Right, exactly.
Um, I have I have been, we had talked about the sensory stuff or what have you, and like like there's tastes and smells and things that you want and need, and there are better choices or whatever. But when you stick bad and good at the same, like, it can't be that way, because I can't trust myself in that movement of, okay, well, I'll have this, but I won't have that tomorrow and the next day and what have you, because I'm going to indulge or whatever. And what I need usually is just something that smells good, um, a pause, just to take a minute to recenter and like be like, okay, really, what do I want? And usually when I'm not hungry and want something, I will go to my refrigerator and get dark chocolate, because it has a taste. And that, like, and it's not, it's getting to the point where I prefer that to a Kit Kat, because that is, the taste or what have you opens up my senses, that I'm satisfied. And I don't know what the chemical reaction is to chocolate. I know chocolate has dopamine and whatever, but nothing is, I don't feel this, I'm doing anything wrong. It's a trust. It's a trust I didn't have in myself.
Absolutely. And like you said, with the dark chocolate, it's rich. So it's like you don't need quite as much as you would from just the Kit Kat or something like that because it's so rich. You just only need a little bit. So that little bit satisfies you in that moment, especially for that taste. Um, when we talked about like honoring your hunger and respecting your fullness, which is starting to eat when you feel that true physical hunger, and then stopping when you're full, but you're comfortably full. You're not stuffed. How did you how did you first approach that?
I honestly, I approached it by fixing my sleep for one, because I wasn't, so that like I'm binging in the middle of the night and then I wake up for breakfast and I'm bloated or, and tired and I don't know, I'm not really hungry and like the normal biorhythms that a person has to have. So I had to kind of, really take it very slowly. Like the first week, I didn't, you were just like, just get your sleep in order. That's all you need to do. Eat when you're hungry, listen to yourself, pause, and, see how that turns out. And I have found that my natural hunger cues are I really, when I started sleeping well, in the morning, I'm hungry. I wake up ready to eat. And, and I want usually more food at breakfast. Like I'm having oatmeal, peanut butter, little protein in the peanut butter, milk, apples, bananas, like, and I'm like, I have a pretty hearty appetite for breakfast. And then at lunch goes by, I go to work, I'm driving, what have you, and I'm not really hungry. And then maybe around like 2:30, 3 o'clock, I find that I need something like a snack. So I'll have, some carrots, some peanut butter and cheese or yogurt or, potato chips or whatever. Sometimes whatever it is that what I want.
Depending on the day.
Right. And then dinner, I'm hungry again. I'm hungry again for a larger meal.
Okay. And I'm hearing a lot of balance going on in there. You're keeping your protein included in all of that going on, whether it's a meal or a snack, and keeping it nice and balanced so that your blood sugar is not all over the place and getting those crazy cravings. So you're listening to your body and you're listening to me as well, which is, part of it, which is absolutely wonderful. So I'm curious though, how did you, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be curious about this as well, but how did you deal with your emotions instead of turning to food? Like I'm telling you, okay, now on your hunger and fullness, but you have full permission to eat anything. How do you deal with your emotions when you were um, not wanting to turn to food?
Um, that's a good question.
Or you wanted to turn
You
to
know
food, I
what?
should say, but
That like I would pause or halt and just think, am I hungry? What am I? Why am I tired? Is that I'm not taking what's my body trying to tell me? That would definitely be something. But as I said, the sensory things or whatever, you and I did a whole session on how you have to eat for pleasure. And when I have those emotions, I know that I need something that's pleasurable, but there are other things that are pleasurable that are food. So emotionally, you have to emotionally eat for pleasure, which has nothing to do with food. So I had been taking care of that with sensory things, which was, you know what, I need a nap, lay down in the sun, go outside. I walk a little dog from my boss every day. His name's Romeo. Romeo is keeping me emotionally wrapped. Okay. I love my baby Romeo. I walk him twice a day. And, like that's pleasurable. Walking, movement, all of these things have helped me to come away from my anxiety and trust myself. And that's really what I've learned.
awesome. I
That's what I'm
love that.
doing.
I love
And,
that. Yeah.
and there's this part of me that's like, you know what, I get so overwhelmed with my mother and the amount of healthcare and responsibility that is underneath me. It has been the hardest thing I have ever had to do was to navigate somebody else's healthcare that is so complicated on top of trying to take care of my own health.
Yes.
Um, that I have learned that I'm learning that, you know what, you just have to have faith. Like, it's a trust thing that I'm learning, that you just keep going, get up. There are all kinds of things that I can do that will relieve my stress. And if I feel overwhelmed and I'm tired, I need to go and take a nap. I need to physically regroup. And learning that has been indispensable.
That was actually going to be my next question, was how do you actually take care of your own health with all of this going on around you, coming from emotional eating, dealing with your mom who has her own health issues that you have to help take care of. So for you to be able to put yourself and your health first and know that that's really important,
Mm.
right? So um, all of these things that you're doing are doing that for your health.
I'm just like, I'm drawing a blank because I pretty much just told you what I've been doing,
Right,
but
exactly.
I guess, like, on a on a deeper level, it's really been about trusting myself, but also coming away from perfectionism. That, you know what, it's okay to do shit half baked.
Yes, yes, it's so important.
You don't
Not everything
you
has
don't
to
have
be
to be
perfect.
perfect, and like, hey, you know what, mom, you're having cereal today for dinner, whatever. Like, I- like, I have perfectionistic sabotage.
Yeah, and it's okay. We have to
Perfectionistic
learn.
sabotage. And so, but the perfectionistic sabotage is a procrastination at the same time. So, um, what I'm learning about myself and the little mind games that I play with myself is that I just want to not take responsibility for whatever it is right at this moment because I want it to be perfect,
Mhm.
and instead of just naturally doing whatever it is that is the task at hand. So that is something that I am working on. I am continuing to work on, because that perfection thing is killing me.
Yes, and we don't like, yeah, like we've said, we know we don't have to be perfect. And that's where even like, doing some of our positive affirmations and things like that, just telling ourselves, you know what, I am enough and this is okay. And if this is what it is and that's what it is, like, no problem. And just do what we can with what we have and be okay with that and be able to move on and go about our day. Otherwise, we're going to stress ourselves out to high
Right,
heavens, because it's
right. And there's like, that's the thing. I have enough stress.
exactly, we don't need to
Like,
add it to
like
ourselves.
I can't. There's only so much stress I can take from, you know, I'm one of 7 children, and they call about my parents, and they're always suggesting me to do, feed my mother better, and how to deal with their own denial about it, and then having their, like, being like, did you remember to do this, did you remember to do that, and whatever. And I'm just like,
That's not helping.
I'm just like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And that pressure from 6 siblings, where they're always trying to put their stress on top of me and micromanage me, where whenever I follow one of their suggestions, my mother bucks. She doesn't want to do it. And it's just
Right.
10 times more work. So I like learning that I don't have to listen to other people constantly and what they have to say, that, you know what, if you want to come and run the show here, then come here, and you know what, give me 2 hours away, and you do that exercise, you make that perfect meal for my mother. Leave me alone. And
But you're doing it,
that's
you're
what
making
I'm
it
doing.
happen, and you're
Right.
finding coping mechanisms now to deal with all that,
Yes.
so that you're not going crazy and saying, "I don't wanna do this anymore." You're not
Well,
you
it's because I'm not hungry, I'm not tired, I have energy, and my mental well-being is much better. It isn't perfect. It isn't.
right, and we don't
And
expect perfection,
yeah,
and that's wonderful,
I
that's
mean,
wonderful.
honestly, I should make a t-shirt or a logo that says perfection is killing me.
I love it, yes. And I'll buy one from you.
Perfection makes me hungry.
Yeah, that too, that too. So, actually, with all of that, how did you know that intuitive eating was right for you?
Well, I liked hearing that I could eat whatever I wanted and I didn't really have to like worry about the structure of a diet too much, and that really appealed to me, but that wasn't really what it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. Um but what was the question
How did you know that intuitive eating was gonna be right for you? When you, embarked on this journey, and I was like, "Yep, and we're gonna eat intuitively now." How did
I
you know?
didn't. To be truthful, I didn't know if it was going to be for me. I just knew that I had the motivation to try. I had a I mean, I'm not a terribly desperate person, but I felt like that desperate thing, that fear that motivates you. My fear of losing my mind is what motivated me.
Whatever it takes, right?
And I mean, like right now during COVID, so many, it's like I hear everybody is talking like this. So many people feel that what's tomorrow going to bring? Will I be able to survive? And I had, it was just a leap of faith.
So, what would you say to people who are just putting off fixing their problems in the chronic dieting, things like that? What would you have? What message would you have for them?
Perfection is killing you. Just do it. Just try. It's not, it's, it's just one meal at a time. It's one little step. And then eventually you'll build on all of them and you'll be able to do it. I mean, like our sessions are one little thing, two little things every week that, I try to incorporate with what I've already learned. And it is going to take time. It is an investment in yourself. But I would say that what's keeping you from it, like you're like, oh, I really don't have the money to do this and what have you. And people have that kind of circumstance or what have you, but if you actually do the numbers and you find out how much you're overspending on food and overspending on other things and what have you, it's worth it. I mean, if you think about it, you have it's a permanent eating disorder, or possibly never ever worrying about it again. And I took a leap of faith, and at this, I mean, and it you were definitely a financial thing that I was like, wow, this is high, but I had the leap of faith, and when you invest in yourself, even monetarily, you're gonna work harder at it.
Absolutely.
It's
Yes.
just like, okay, well, I've spent this money. I have only, because your program's really only 12 weeks, or however you've conjunctured it out. But I knew, okay, I only have 3 months to do this, and I only have, I'm lucky to get an hour to talk to you.
Well, when you
I
invest,
gotta really prepare to be able to have that hour to talk to you.
absolutely. And when you invest in
So
yourself,
if you are
yeah,
somebody that is stressful, has lots of kids, has, parents and living between 3 houses and, have a very stressful job with stressful people, this is doable.
it really is. It really is.
It's
It's easy.
doable.
It's not, yeah, it's not that difficult. Like you said, it's the small steps every week that have turned into this big change for you and where you're at now. 3 months ago, this is not where you were, I would say mentally or physically. Am I right to assume that?
Yes.
Yes. So what would you say is the most important thing for you in achieving success with your sessions with me?
The consistency of actually talking to you every week and being able to just be able to, get out what I need to talk about, because I don't have, because I'm spinning around so much, I don't have the time to focus on bigger issues. And that's where you've been incredibly helpful. Because when you're not talking about the things that you need to talk about that are making you anxious, make you want to eat, make you want to do self-destructive things, then there's really nowhere to move from that. And I really wasn't reaching out for a lot of emotional support before this. So just having you on the end to be like, I feel like I'm losing my mind is really nice, to be able to talk to somebody and be like, okay, well, you've been doing this self-destructive thing for 20 years. So be nice to yourself.
Change. Yes.
Be nice to yourself. How to do
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
The suggestions of, okay, well, we're on this part of it. Whatever the session may be. One session I loved was eat for pleasure. Love that one.
Yes, there's that
like,
satisfaction factor.
What's your favorite food? And I'm like, my favorite food is pizza and Coke.
So have it. Enjoy it.
So you like, this week have pizza and Coke. Like, this is my diet.
And then your mom is like, how the heck are you losing weight?
There are things that are pleasurable. So, here we are.
Gosh. Yes, absolutely. And you've done phenomenal with, like you mentioned, consistency, and that's just it. Consistency is key, with whatever, when you're putting these things into place, just being consistent, showing up for yourself every single day. So, how would you just describe your overall experience with intuitive eating, with the whole process of working with me?
I honestly feel like I am going to be able to fix a disordered eating for the rest of my life. I really feel that the breakthrough for me was that getting through the perfection procrastination, learning what it was. That was my biggest problem. So, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to listen to yourself and trust yourself. And you have helped me do that. So I thank you very much.
Well,
And if there's somebody that's, really has a lot of anxiety and they second guess themselves a lot, and they're just like, I'm doing this wrong and what have you. And, it's just like, stop that noise. Stop that noise that you're You can't do this. Your body knows what it needs. Your body is different than my body. Somebody else's body needs 3 meals a day, 5 meals a day, smaller, what have you. I found what mine is. It's not the same for everyone.
Exactly. It's very unique.
And that intuitive eating requires intelligence. But it doesn't require that much intelligence because you feel it.
Your body tells you.
For me, Kelsie, you are the intelligence. You're like the training wheels of the intelligence for me. That's what you are.
Thank you. I like that analogy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. But I'm also grateful that you chose me. I'm very blessed that you chose me to help you. And I love that I was able to help you. And that means a lot to me. And I love that I've been able to see you go from your whole journey from where you began to where you are now. And you're coming to that magical place that I like to call it. And it's a wonderful place to be. It's just
magical place with broken knees.
Yes, now your poor knees because you fell again. but we'll just modify your exercises. It'll be okay. It's all good.
Yes.
Yes. So, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we end?
No, that's about it.
That is
just
it.
a big thank you. A big thank you. That's about it.
Well, absolutely, of course, and I'm happy to help. And like I said, I thank you as well because I love to help. And I'm glad that I could do that for you. So, so if anyone has any questions or if you'd like to learn more about intuitive eating, please feel free to reach out. You can PM me at any time. And thank you, Angela, so much for being here with us today and doing this interview. And I couldn't be
You're
more
welcome.
grateful.
Hopefully you can be the next person that has this interview. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.